The flickering glow of the silver screen has long been a sanctuary for the dreamers, and a mirror for the soul, a place where the boundaries between reality and fiction blur into something transcendent. For generations, we have looked to the giants of the acting world, not just as entertainers, but as the architects of our emotional landscapes. They are the faces that define eras, the voices that give weight to our unspoken thoughts, and the legends whose presence alone can turn a simple story into a global phenomenon. Yet, in the heart of this glittering industry, where the neon lights of Hollywood and the prestigious halls of international cinema never seem to dim, a strange and captivating mystery has begun to take root. It is a story that has been whispered in the corners of exclusive studio backlots and discussed in hushed tones across social media platforms, growing from a flicker of a rumor into a roaring blaze of public fascination. For months, the atmosphere surrounding the industry has felt unusually heavy, charged with a sense of anticipation that is difficult to name but impossible to ignore. It began with a sudden, unexplained absence, a void left by one of the most celebrated figures of our time. This is an individual whose name is synonymous with excellence, a person who has garnered every accolade imaginable and whose filmography serves as a masterclass in the art of performance. To the public, they were untouchable, a permanent fixture in the firmament of stardom. But then, as if by design, the lights went out. The red carpets remained unrolled, the scripts remained unsigned, and the public appearances that once fueled the global news cycle ceased entirely. There was no grand announcement, no farewell tour, and no explanation offered to the millions of fans who have followed every step of this remarkable journey. This silence has created a vacuum that the world is now rushing to fill. Everywhere you look, the same questions are being asked, yet the answers remain tantalizingly out of reach. What could lead a titan of the screen to walk away at the very peak of their influence? Is this a calculated move to redefine a legacy? Or is there something much more complex bubbling beneath the surface of this professional hiatus? As we stand on the precipice of a revelation that promises to shake the foundations of the entertainment world, we must first look back at the quiet storm that has been brewing. The industry is currently holding its breath, waiting for the moment the curtain finally rises to reveal the truth behind the disappearance and the whispered rumors of a return that no one saw coming. The stage is set, the audience is waiting, and the air is thick with a tension that can only precede the most significant announcement in modern cinematic history. The silence that followed this mysterious disappearance did not remain a quiet void for long. As the machinery of the global entertainment industry began to grind to a halt, faced with a problem it simply did not know how to solve. In the high-stakes world of modern cinema, where every second is budgeted and every frame is worth thousands of dollars, a sudden absence is more than a personal choice. It is a cataclysmic event that ripples through thousands of lives. Crew members, from the cinematographers to the lighting technicians, found themselves standing on idle sets, looking at empty chairs and waiting for a lead who would never arrive. It was during one such high-profile production, a project whispered to be the definitive work of a generation, that the first cracks in the facade appeared. The schedule was set, the cameras were rigged, and the world was waiting for the first glimpse of a masterpiece, yet the heart of the project was nowhere to be found. This wasn't a standard case of creative differences or a contract dispute that could be settled by a fleet of lawyers in a boardroom. This was something far more profound and unsettling as days turned into weeks. The digital landscape began to transform into a frantic hub of investigation and speculation. This is where the true power of the modern audience revealed itself, as millions of fans across the globe took to their keyboards, turning comment sections and forum threads into a massive, decentralized detective agency. They began to dissect every frame of previous films, every past interview, and every fleeting social media post, searching for a hidden signal or a reason for this unprecedented retreat. In the comment sections of tribute videos and fan-made montages, a singular movement began to emerge, a collective plea for answers. People from every corner of the world started sharing their personal connections to this artist, naming their favorite roles and the specific moments that had changed their lives. It became a digital vigil, a testament to the fact that an actor is never just a face on a screen. They are a repository for our shared human experiences. The sheer volume of this public outcry was enough to force the industry's hand, as studios and representatives were no longer able to hide behind vague statements about personal time or scheduling conflicts. The tension reached a fever pitch when strange, almost imperceptible changes began to occur within the actors' professional ecosystem. Official websites were quietly updated with minimalist landing pages, and long-standing partnerships with major brands seemed to evaporate overnight without the usual fanfare of a press release. It was as if a deliberate effort was being made to erase a digital footprint that had taken decades to build. This was the moment the public realized that the disappearance wasn't just a lapse in presence, but perhaps a calculated withdrawal from the very concept of fame itself. Insiders began to leak stories of strange behavior in the weeks leading up to the blackout. Stories of a performer who seemed increasingly disillusioned with the artifice of the industry, someone who felt the weight of the crown becoming too heavy to bear. These leaks suggested that the hero of our story had been grappling with a fundamental question about the value of their craft, in a world that often prioritizes the spectacle over the soul. Yet, even as the mystery deepened, a new and even more puzzling element was introduced to the narrative. Reports began to surface of sightings in the most unlikely of places, far removed from the glitz of the major film hubs. These were not the typical grainy paparazzi photos taken outside a luxury hotel, but rather accounts of a quiet, unassuming individual seen in remote villages or forgotten coastal towns. Someone who looked remarkably like the missing icon, but possessed a sense of peace that had been absent from their public persona for years. These sightings, though unverified, added a layer of mythic quality to the story, turning a professional disappearance into a journey of self-discovery. The world was no longer just asking where they were, but who they had become in the shadows. The industry was left reeling, caught between the financial necessity of a return and the growing realization that the person they were waiting for might never want to be found. The stage was now set for a confrontation between the demands of the public eye and the private needs of a human being who had given everything to the screen, and the resolution of this conflict promised to change the way we view the relationship between the star and the spectator forever. The long-awaited moment of clarity finally arrived, not with a thunderous announcement or a coordinated media blitz, but with a single quiet ripple that turned into a tidal wave across the digital ocean. After months of speculation, the essence of this grand mystery was laid bare, revealing a truth that was far more ambitious than anyone had dared to imagine. It was discovered that the period of silence was not a retreat into the shadows, but a deliberate and necessary period of creation for a project that aims to redefine the very relationship between the actor and the audience. The revelation came in the form of a manifesto and a visual preview that showcased a revolutionary new direction for the icon at the center of this storm. This was not just another blockbuster or a vanity project. It was the birth of an independent creative collective, a sanctuary where the purity of performance is prioritized over the commercial demands of the studio system. The reason for the disappearance was now crystal clear. The artist had reached a breaking point with the increasingly mechanized nature of modern storytelling and had chosen to build something entirely new from the ground up. This revelation is critically important because it addresses the growing anxiety within the industry regarding the loss of human touch in the age of rapid technological advancement. By stepping away at the height of their fame, the actor sent a powerful message about the value of artistic integrity and the necessity of taking risks in a world that often favors the safe and the predictable. The essence of this news lies in the Humanity Initiative, a bold new venture that focuses on the preservation of the craft of acting through traditional methods, unburdened by the pressures of digital interference or corporate oversight. It was revealed that during the months of seclusion, the artist had been collaborating with a hand-picked group of veterans and newcomers alike, creating a body of work that celebrates the raw, unedited power of the human voice and the subtleties of physical expression. This wasn't just a comeback, it was a revolution, a declaration that the soul of cinema cannot be replicated by an algorithm or condensed into a trending topic. The impact of this news has been immediate and profound, triggering a global conversation about what we truly value in our entertainment heroes. When the actor finally spoke, their words resonated with a weary public that had been searching for something authentic to hold on to. They explained that the decision to leave was born out of a desire to find the stillness required to create something lasting. Something that would stand the test of time, long after the flickering lights of the theatre have gone dark. This explains why the sightings in remote locations were so significant. They were the footsteps of a creator seeking the origins of storytelling, away from the distractions of the modern world. The importance of this move cannot be overstated, as it challenges the current trajectory of the entire entertainment landscape. Encouraging other artists to reclaim their voices and reminding the audience that the most powerful special effect will always be the human heart. As the details of the first project under this new collective began to emerge, the sheer scale of the vision became apparent. It is a multi-layered narrative that spans decades, weaving together the lives of diverse characters in a way that feels both intimate and epic. But more than the content itself, it is the method of delivery that has the industry talking. The actor has pledged to bring these stories directly to the people, bypassing traditional distribution channels in favor of a model that honors the local theaters and the communities that support them. This is the finding that was hinted at in the darkest hours of the mystery, a discovery that the path forward for the arts lies in returning to the roots of the community. The world is no longer just looking at a star. They are looking at a pioneer who has dared to step off the map to find a better way home. The tension that has built up over these months has finally found its release, not in a simple answer, but in a grand invitation to join a new era of storytelling where every performance matters and every voice is heard. To understand the magnitude of this transition, one must look closely at the path that led our protagonist to this unprecedented crossroads. The story of this icon is not merely one of sudden fame and fortune, but a decades-long pursuit of an elusive artistic truth that began far from the blinding lights of the global stage. Long before the multi-million-dollar contracts and the critical acclaim, there was a young performer driven by an almost obsessive dedication to the craft, spending years in the demanding environment of regional theatre and independent cinema. In those early days, the focus was never on the lifestyle of a celebrity, but on the granular details of human behavior, the way a hand trembles, the subtle shift in a gaze, and the power of silence between spoken lines. These foundational years forged a talent that was as resilient as it was refined, creating a performer who did not just play a role, but inhabited the very soul of the character. It was this raw authenticity that eventually caught the eye of the industry's most visionary directors, leading to a series of breakthrough performances that redefined the standards of modern acting. As the years progressed, the hero of our story became more than just a successful actor. They became a cultural touchstone, a symbol of consistent excellence in an industry often criticized for its superficiality. Every project they touched seemed to gain a new layer of depth, and their presence alone was often enough to guarantee both critical success and commercial viability. Yet, despite the accolades and the adoration of millions, those closest to the star noticed a growing sense of detachment from the traditional machinery of Hollywood. General facts about their career often highlight the awards and the box office records, but the recent events leading up to the mysterious hiatus reveal a much more complex internal struggle. It is now understood that the protagonist had grown weary of the relentless cycle of promotion and the increasing reliance on digital enhancements that seemed to dilute the purity of the performance. There were whispers that the final high-profile project before the disappearance, a film that was expected to be a career-defining masterpiece, had left the actor feeling hollow. As the creative vision was slowly eroded by the demands of corporate committees and market testing, this disconnect was the catalyst for the boldest move of their career. In the months immediately preceding the silence, the actor began to distance themselves from the traditional social circles of the elite, choosing instead to reconnect with the roots of their inspiration. They were seen visiting small acting schools, engaging in deep conversations with aging mentors, and immersing themselves in literature and philosophy that explored the fundamental purpose of art in society. These were the quiet steps of a person preparing for a monumental shift, a hero who realized that to save their craft, they had to first reclaim their own agency. This history of dedication and the recent pivot toward a more meaningful existence provide the necessary context for the Humanity Initiative. It is not a sudden whim, but the culmination of a lifetime of work, a logical progression for a talent that has always sought the profound over the popular. By looking back at this journey, we see that the disappearance was not an end, but a necessary shedding of an old skin to make way for a more authentic way of being. As we examine the legacy being built in real time, it is clear that this individual is no longer just an actor for hire, but a guardian of the cinematic tradition. Their path has been one of constant evolution, marked by a refusal to settle for the status quo and a courageous willingness to risk everything for the sake of a higher calling. The recent events that captured the world's attention were merely the public manifestation of a private revolution that had been brewing for years. Now, as the full scope of their vision begins to take shape, we are reminded that the most significant stories are often those that happen behind the scenes, in the quiet moments of reflection and the bold decisions made in the dark. The hero's journey continues, and as they step back into the light on their own terms, the impact of their choices will undoubtedly be felt for generations to come, serving as a beacon for all those who believe that the true power of the screen lies in its ability to touch the human spirit directly. As we stand at the threshold of this new era, the first glimpses of the Humanity Initiative's inaugural production have finally begun to surface, sending a wave of quiet awe through the collective consciousness of the global audience. This is the moment where the philosophy meets the practice, and the result is nothing short of breathtaking. The footage, released through a decentralized network of independent creators, reveals a style of filmmaking that feels both ancient and entirely revolutionary. There are no sweeping, digital landscapes or gravity-defying stunts. Instead, the camera lingers on the subtle architecture of the human face, capturing the profound depth of emotion that only a master of the craft can convey. It is a return to the power of the close-up, to the weight of a spoken word, and to the truth that can only be found in the unedited moments of life. The hero of our story has not just returned to the screen, they have reinvented the screen itself, turning it into a window into the soul that feels more real than the world outside the theatre doors. The distribution model for this new venture is perhaps its most radical departure from the status quo, functioning as a masterclass in grassroots connection and community engagement. Rather than a simultaneous global release in massive multiplexes, the initiative is rolling out its stories through a series of cinematic gatherings in unconventional spaces, village halls, local libraries, and repurposed urban warehouses. This approach has transformed the act of watching a film from a passive solitary experience into a communal event that honors the local culture and the people who inhabit it. Reports are coming in from these early screenings, audience of audiences standing in silence long after the credits have rolled, moved by a sense of intimacy and connection that has been largely missing from the modern blockbuster experience. This is the realization of the actor's vision to bring the art back to the people, to strip away the corporate layers that separate the creator from the spectator, and to remind us all why we fell in love with the stories of the silver screen in the first place. The ripple effect across the industry has been immediate and undeniable, as other established performers and young artists alike begin to question the traditional paths to success. We are seeing a quiet exodus of talent toward projects that prioritize artistic freedom over commercial guarantees, signaling a potential shift in the very power dynamics of the entertainment world. Veterans of the craft who had long felt sidelined by the industry's obsession with youth and technology are finding a new home within the Humanity Initiative, bringing with them a wealth of experience and a passion that has been revitalized by this new sense of purpose. This is not just a single actor's journey anymore. It has become a movement that is challenging the notion that cinema must be a conveyor belt of content. It is a call to arms for the dreamers and the poets, a reminder that the most valuable currency in the world of art is not the box office return, but the lasting impact on the human spirit looking toward the future. The roadmap for this creative collective is as ambitious as it is grounded in its core principles. Plans are already in motion to establish permanent creative hubs in diverse regions around the world, places where the next generation of storytellers can learn the traditional techniques of the craft without the pressure of commercial conformity. These hubs will serve as sanctuaries for the arts, ensuring that the lessons learned during this period of silence and revelation are passed down to those who will carry the torch forward. The protagonist of our story has transitioned from being a star of the present to a guardian of the future, a mentor who understands that true legacy is not found in the awards on a shelf, but in the inspiration ignited in the hearts of others. The journey that began with a mysterious disappearance has led to a destination that offers a new hope for the entire cinematic landscape, a path that values the human element above all else. In the final analysis, this entire saga, from the sudden silence that gripped the world to the triumphant unveiling of a new artistic path, serves as a powerful reminder that the stories we tell define who we are as a society. By choosing to walk away from the noise and the artifice, our hero found the clarity to build something that truly matters, proving that it is never too late to redefine one's purpose and to stand up for the integrity of one's craft. The air of tension that once characterized the industry has been replaced by a sense of profound possibility, a feeling that we are witnessing the start of a second golden age of cinema. As we move forward, we do so with a renewed appreciation for the magic of the screen and the courage of those who dare to protect it. The lights may have dimmed for a moment, but the glow that has emerged in their place is brighter, warmer, and more enduring than anything we have seen before. This is the story of a return to the heart, a celebration of the human spirit, and a new beginning for the world of the silver screen. Answer breaking news. The crimery, visionary of the arts breaks, moves of silence. The revolutionary humanity initiative iconic Starley's The End of the Studio Era in a bold move to reclaim artistic sovereignty shifts as independent collective takes center stage.